This week, we have big box retailers reporting: Walmart, Home Depot, Target, Lowe's, BJ's. In this video, I want to take a look at some technical analysis and see if they're worth buying before earnings, or if we're better off waiting for a better opportunity. You're not going to want to miss this. Alright, welcome back to another episode. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. Guys, so Walmart has fallen off a cliff ever since the last earnings report, reporting inflation was a big problem. They had increased inventories. Consumers, as a result, weren't spending as much on discretionary items and really only buying things like groceries. So hitting an all-time high back in April, around $160 a share, moving on downward, that earnings report, and then falling off a cliff, massive gap. And this is Walmart stock of all stocks, gapping down again and then reaching a low of about $117 a share, bouncing up around, creating a base. Another pretty big gap down. I don't remember what was the news on this day, but got bought up again, surprised that same area, got rejected, pulled back, and then right now, again, we're right at that same area, right before earnings. So what's the call? Buy or sell? So if we are to gap up, it would probably be around this $140 area, right around that 200 simple moving day average. That would be my guess if we are to gap up on some great news. So that could definitely be your potential upside. However, if we are to gap down significantly, my guess is we go right back down to this area around 120, so that would be your downside. And this blue line over here, if we zoom out and take a look at the weekly time frame, we're also right at that 200 simple moving day average, if that's any comfort. But again, zooming out even further, attaching the bottom of these troughs ever since 2015, 2017, and then to where we are today, it aligns perfectly to where we are. And this actually reminds me similarly of Meta or Facebook stock. There is this blue trend line over here that's been intact, the support of 2020, 2018, and then back over here in 2016. So again, being right at that area, it got bought right back up. And then after Walmart, we have Home Depot stock, and this one has been pretty volatile as well. If we look at the weekly time frame back to 2020, that crash when we hit about $140, $147. And this one recovered very nicely again with the housing boom. And again, we all know what happened in 2020 and 2021 with the housing market reaching a high, again, from 146, 145, all the way up to over $400, and then falling this year to about 265, currently in the middle at $315. So on the weekly time frame, we bounced perfectly off that 200 simple moving day average in the middle of June. And as of last week, we had a hammer candle perfectly between both moving averages. So this could go really either way. If you look at the daily time frame, again, we have been locked in that uptrend. Similar idea to Walmart. Your upside is probably this 200 simple moving day average, which was previous resistance near that previous support line where we gapped down from in February, around $340. And your downside is probably around this area of about 280. But again, very similar idea. Long term, probably a great buying opportunity the closer you get to the 200 simple moving day average. The next one is that we have Target. Similar idea, bouncing off, but we went below that 200 simple moving day average on the weekly time frame for a little bit, pushing up right up against that 20 exponential. And looking at the daily time frame, your upside gap is probably 187, 190, and if you're really pushing it, maybe 205. But you would need a huge beat in order to fill in that gap. Hey, maybe it is possible, but if we do gap down, it would probably be around $150 a share. Lowe's stock, upside you're probably looking at 215. Downside, you may be looking at maybe 190. If it's really bad, maybe 185. And lastly, we have BJ stock. And this one I want to look at because it also is a retailer, but at a much smaller market cap of about $9.2 billion. But the reason I want to take a look at it is if you take a look at the weekly time frame and go back in time, this one has been locked in a pretty steep uptrend, very nicely respecting the 50 exponential moving average, especially since the pandemic had started. And even though it broke through that area for a little bit, back in May, it recovered the week afterward. So this one, if we have a gap up, we're probably looking at 71, perhaps 74 if it's testing all-time highs. And a big gap down, you're probably looking around the 63 area near that 200 simple moving day average. Otherwise, that's the end of the video. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts on the big box retailers. How do you think they're going to report this week? Are you playing the earnings? Let me know in the comments below. As always, subscribe, like, and I will see you in the next video.